So once again, I think I ought to say namaskar and good evening, good afternoon, of course, Devi from the UK. It's half past 2 there, and anyone joined from farther places like America, so it could be good morning. So that also shows, you know, people joining to this webinar from across. The webinar, I think in terms of the timing of it, the COVID, the scary word, I think as much as it became, I was talking about thunderstorms and lightning, I think it became another kind of scary word. Whether it is, again, Devi from the UK or Vijay sir from Bihar or me traveling in between, and we got colleagues from Bangladesh, Kabir and Ravi from Sri Lanka, or, wherever they have joined. I think, I don't think it has left anybody unattended or anybody actually immune to this pandemic, one way or the other, either whether it is social or economic or cultural or even family wise or mental status wise. I think it has pretty much touched everyone in a more of in a negative way rather than much positive way. And in that, if we say one of the most affected, while everybody got affected, all communities got affected, but I think in that, one of the most affected, if you look at the second wave, in Indian perspective, I think there is nothing to challenge to say that children are one of the worst affected. Hence, we even have the data, although that was an interesting that the data got changed quite quickly from May 25th to June 5th. And it is still stands that the NCPCR, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, saying around 30,000 children of such in India who have been documented, who have been, the data being captured, whereas 3,600 plus are lost both the parents, whereas 26,000 have lost either one of the parents, and 274 are abandoned. And while we are sitting in the state of Bihar, one of the poorest, and also need to work upon, whereas in this 1,634 children are actually hailing from Bihar alone. And these figures, everybody, even our, whether we call it administration, whether we call it professionals, or even laymen, everyone knows that these figures are going to go up and up. This is only probably could be the tip of the iceberg what we got. Hence, reading some of the news articles, including what we got to read in Bihar alone, especially, that these children will be supported by the families financially. If all not well, then probably they will be sent to children homes, i.e. institutional care. That has been a kind of worry for us. Maybe we are not able to prevent it all happening for few children, but this is an effort to make sure that we will explore and insist, and also, if possible, maybe some advocacy or lobbying and pressurizing our local governments to adopt the alternative care. And in terms of alternative care, if I say it's रिश्तेदारी या नातेदारी हम हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं, और नथिंग एल्स संस्थागत देखभाल का एक विकल्प भी बोल सकते हैं. और as I said, Devi, apologies for shifting between Hindi and English because we have audiences again from different walks of life in India, and this is another diversity. Whereas even Madhavi ma'am was even speaking for few Telugu words in the beginning of the webinar, so that is a third language also added to it. So yeah, it's since this is what we felt is a need of the hour. It's not mean that alternative care is not happening, but again, it varies from state to state. Therefore, I've been trying to bring the people, the professionals like you on the board, so that we would be able to do a bit of our best in this regard. So once again, I would really sincerely would like to thank the resource persons and Vijay sir and Dr. Vikas ji for giving that time. Therefore, now would you mind, Vikas ji, would you like to say a few words before we move on to Vijay sir, please? Thank you.
थैंक यू सभी को नमस्कार और इस कार्यशाला में सबको जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थोड़ा सा मैं ब्रीफ करना चाहूँगा कि हम लोग पिछले जब कोविड का जब सेकेंड वेव शुरू हुआ था अप्रैल 2021 में, तो उस समय हम लोगों ने एक साथ कलेक्टिवली ये फील किया कि बहुत लोग को सही जानकारी नहीं है कि कोविड कैसे होता है और तमाम तरह की मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन मीडिया में, सोशल मीडिया में फ्लोट कर रहे थे। तो शेखर जी और काफ़ी साथी लोग साथ में आके हम लोगों ने ये प्लान किया कि हम लोग कंटिन्यूसली खासकर कोविड, इसके प्रिवेंशन और इससे संबंधित जितने भी मुद्दे हैं, खासकर बच्चों से संबंधित मुद्दे हैं, उस पर आके हम लोगों को डिस्कस करना चाहिए और कोशिश करना चाहिए कि हम लोग इन इश्यूज को रिजॉल्व करें। तो उसी सत्र में उसी सीरीज में हम लोगों ने पिछले 6-7 वर्कशॉप्स किए हैं जिसपे डॉक्टर्स, एम्स के डॉक्टर्स और अदर रिसोर्स पर्सन, ग्रीफ के से संबंधित रिसोर्स पर्सन आके हम लोगों ने तमाम अलग अलग मुद्दों पे बात की। तो उसी सीरीज में ये आज का वर्कशॉप है जिसमें हम डॉक्टर देवी और सरिता जी और स्मृति जी और माधवी मैम से सुनेंगे कि बच्चों के संबंधित जो वल्नरेबल चिल्ड्रन है, जिनके माता पिता की डेथ हो चुकी है इस कोविड के दौरान, उनको हम अल्टरनेटिव कैसे केयर प्रोवाइड कर सकें। तो उसी कार्यशाला उसी सीरीज में है। और डॉक्टर विजय प्रकाश सर जो अटल इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर बिहार विद्यापीठ के अध्यक्ष चेयरपर्सन है, वो हमें हमेशा इस तरह के वर्कशॉप्स और कार्यशाला के लिए हमेशा प्रेरित करते हैं और हमेशा इन्होंने सपोर्ट किया है कि आप कभी भी इस तरह का वर्कशॉप करें, हम आप लोगों को हमेशा सपोर्ट करेंगे। तो उसी संबंधित में सर की अध्यक्षता में ये वर्कशॉप हो रही है। तो हम चाहेंगे कि डॉक्टर विजय प्रकाश सर के बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं बता दूं। सर रिटायर्ड IAS ऑफिसर्स हैं बिहार गवर्नमेंट के, और ये काफ़ी तमाम जितने भी विभाग हैं बिहार के, इम्पोर्टेंट विभाग है, उसमें इन्होंने प्रधान सचिव के तौर पे काम किया है। अभी फिलहाल सर हेल्थ, समाज कल्याण विभाग, एग्रीकल्चर विभाग, एजुकेशन और प्लानिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट के भी सचिव रहे हैं। तो सर आपका सर स्वागत है इस वर्कशॉप में सर, और हम चाहेंगे कि प्लीज़ आप भी इस वर्कशॉप के थोड़ा बैकग्राउंड के बारे में आप थोड़ा सा बताएं और अपने विचारों से हम लोगों को प्रेरित करें सर। ओवर टू यू सर।
थैंक यू विकास, थैंक यू। इनफैक्ट सभी को बहुत बहुत मेरा नमस्कार, और बिहार विद्यापीठ की ओर से मैं विशेषकर आप लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। बिहार विद्यापीठ ने गांधी जी ने एस्टैब्लिश किया था और उस समय से ही रिलीफ वर्क में और कैलामिटी में हमेशा आगे रहा है। हमेशा जब भी बड़े बड़े कैलामिटी आए स्टेट पर, तो बिहार विद्यापीठ ने एक महती भूमिका निभाई है। आज का जहां तक विषय है, ये कोविड का 2 का हम लोग संदर्भ जानते हैं सभी लोग। अभी शेखर जी ने बहुत सरल शब्दों में बताया। मैं समाज कल्याण विभाग में रहा हूं और कई मेजर जो चैलेंजेस अभी आए थे और कैलामिटी आई थी, उसमें मैं वहां का सेक्रेटरी और प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी रहा था, और मैंने ये अनुभव किया कि जब जब कैलामिटी आती है तब ये जो बच्चों का ग्रुप है, ये सडनली बहुत तेजी से अफेक्टेड होता है। चाहे वो बाढ़ आए, मतलब लगता है कि बाढ़ में तो पेरेंट्स लॉस्ट नहीं होते हैं, लेकिन बाढ़ में भी बच्चे होते हैं, बच्चे बहुत अधिक प्रभावित होते हैं। और आप सडनली देखेंगे कि बेगर्स की संख्या बढ़ जाएगी, स्टेशन पर बच्चे, अबैंडन्ड बच्चे भी बढ़ जाएंगे, और ऐसे बच्चे भाग करके भी घूमते हुए, ऑर्फन बच्चे या मतलब जो डेजर्टेड है, जिन्होंने घर छोड़ दिया है, वो भी बच्चे बढ़ जाएंगे। तो ये एक कॉमन चीज है। और एक और जो ग्रुप बढ़ता है वो है ट्रैफिकिंग का। अभी ट्रैफिकिंग बहुत तेजी से बढ़ती है इस पीरियड में। अभी एक जो मेजर प्रॉब्लम होता है वो है मिसिंग चिल्ड्रन का। और हमारे पास नॉर्मली कोई डाटा नहीं रहता है, कोई सर्वे ऐसा तुरंत नहीं हो पाता है। अभी जो डाटा दिया गया है वो मैं समझता हूँ कि वो डाटा होगा हॉस्पिटल का। हॉस्पिटल के थ्रू जो डाटा आया है वो डाटा वो कलेक्ट कर पाए हैं, लेकिन हॉस्पिटल के बाहर भी बहुत सारी घटनाएं हो रही हैं। हॉस्पिटल के बाहर की स्थिति बहुत अच्छी नहीं है, बहुत सारी चीजें रिकॉर्ड नहीं हो रही हैं। इसलिए मैं समझता हूं कि ये जो फिगर अभी आएगा वो और भी रिवाइज होगा धीरे धीरे जैसे से इंफॉर्मेशन आएगा। तो अभी हम लोगों को एक कई स्तर पर काम करने की जरूरत है, और मैं समझता हूं हम लोग को इसमें जरूर गाइडेंस चाहिए, क्योंकि अभी तक हम लोग क्या कर रहे थे मैं आपको थोड़ा सा बता दूं। नॉर्मली बिहार में ऐसा होता था कि एक परवरिश कार्यक्रम है, ऐसे बच्चे जब आते हैं तो उनको जो भी उनको गार्जियन या उनके जो रिलेटिव्स हैं वो उनको अगर रखते हैं तो उनको उनको बहुत ज्यादा मतलब उनको सपोर्ट किया करते हैं लोग। तो ये उनको सरकार सब थोड़ा सपोर्ट करती है, और एक बड़ा है वर्ग जो कि शायद इससे उसका निपटारा हो जाता है। ऑब्वियसली एक बड़ा वर्ग और आता है जो है चाइल्ड लेबर में चला जाता है। तो वो उस वर्ग को भी हम लोगों को कैटर करने की जरूरत है कि चाइल्ड लेबर में जो जाएगा, अभी चाइल्ड मैरिज में भी जाएगा। अभी बहुत तेजी से शादियां, जो अभी हम लोगों ने काफी अच्छी उपलब्धि कर ली थी, चाइल्ड मैरिज को हम लोगों ने बढ़ा लिया था और काफी उस पर कंट्रोल भी किया था। इसके लिए कई कार्यक्रम अभी भी चल रहे हैं, जैसे एक कन्या विवाह योजना है जिसमें हम मदद करते हैं ताकि चाइल्ड मैरिज अभी नहीं हो, और जब 18 वर्ष से ज्यादा की उम्र होती है लड़की की तभी चाइल्ड मैरिज किया जाता है। लेकिन ये एक एक बड़ी चुनौती का अवसर है, जबकि अचानक संख्या में वृद्धि हो जाती है और हमारे पास कोई ऐसा स्टैंडर्ड टेक्निक नहीं है जिससे कि हम लोग इसको इमीडिएटली हैंडल कर पाए। और मैं समझता हूं कि आप लोगों से सुनना चाहूंगा मैं, और जानना चाहूंगा, और बिहार के लोग जानना चाहेंगे कि क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में और क्या किया जा सकता है, वहाँ के बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस क्या हैं। यहाँ पर जो अभी तक जो हुआ, जो मैंने बताया, उसमें वो तो हम लोग करते ही हैं। हम लोग पास तो इसके प्रोटेक्शन होम्स हैं, इसमें चिल्ड्रन होम है जिसमें ले जाते हैं हम लोग, रखते हैं। लेकिन मैं समझता हूं कि और जगह का क्या अनुभव रहा है, एक और जो चीज नहीं है, एक और चीज का प्रयास हो रहा है, वो है कि प्रत्येक पंचायत से ये सर्वे किया जाए कि जो कौन से लोग डिजर्टेड हैं, कौन से लोग ऑर्फन हो गए हैं, इसकी सही जानकारी लोगों को हो जाए। ये प्रत्येक बार होता था, अभी इस बार पता नहीं हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, मैं बहुत वाकिफ नहीं हूं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है शायद इसको करने की जरूरत होगी कि जो भी लोग इस तरह के अफेक्टेड हैं उनका कम से कम स्टॉक टेकिंग हो जाए, ताकि उनके उनके लिए कुछ हम लोग कर सकें। मैं समझता हूं कि इस पर आप लोगों से सुन करके हम लोग कुछ बिहार में बेहतर स्ट्रैटेजी तैयार कर पाएंगे। मैं समझता हूं कि इस वर्कशॉप से जो फाइंडिंग्स निकलेगी वो एक अच्छा गाइडलाइंस देगा बिहार के लोगों को और बिहार के सरकार को। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और अब मैं चाहूंगा कि सब लोग जो गेस्ट स्पीकर्स आए हैं उनको हम लोग सुन करके बात को आगे बढ़ाएं। थैंक यू विकास।
बहुत
may I
धन्यवाद।
request we not understand Hindi properly, sir.
Oh, sorry. So I'm sorry.
Please
Sorry,
explain in English, sir.
Oh,
Okay.
Because of we come to South Indian person, so we are
Okay.
Telugu actually, so that's why we not understand properly Hindi. Then you speak in English,
Okay.
you can try that.
No, let me try. I mean, it's difficult to
You can summarize, sir, what you said.
Sir,
You
मेरे
can
कहा था मगर मेरे दोस्तों को नहीं आता sir हिंदी, so people not understand properly.
Doesn't matter. I will definitely try to say what I wanted to say. That whenever we have calamity, the group of orphans, group of deserted people, that goes on increasing, and it increases very fast. And you will find that people on a station, railway station, people in the street, their number swells up. So we have a serious concern for the people or deserted people or single parent people or abandoned people. I mean, they are of serious concern. During this period, you will find that child labor goes up, child marriages goes up. We also find that the trafficking goes up. So we'll have to have a concerted plan for handling all this. In Bihar, there is a program called Parvaris, in which we support those parents, those people who take care of these orphans or single parent children. They are supported. So this scheme is already there, but we have to, the figures that was given by Mr. Sekharji, that will go up, because whatever figure has come right now, it has come from through hospitals. But if you go to the community, these figures will definitely go up. And we ought to have, I mean, there is a large group which we called missing children, which is not accounted for. They go out, they go for trafficking, they have moved out of the place. So those, we have to conduct a survey in the community to get a feel of how much people have been affected and what is the dimension of the whole problem. And if we don't attend to all this, there is a serious problem that these people may be converted to, say, say that they may become criminals, or criminals may take advantage of this, or as you know, they may even terrorists may take advantage of this. So this is a very serious problem which we must attend. I also said that we want to learn from the experiences from different countries, how they have done and handled these situations, so that we can learn from them and do something here.
Thank you very much, sir. There's nothing to add. You summarized it very well. Thank you very much once again, Vijay sir. Now we will be inviting our resource persons. So we'll be starting with David Hamling, actually his name, but he likes to be called Davy simply because he's down to earth. Just to give a kind of sharp introduction of what Davy is, that Davy worked in children and family social work team since 2003. Social work teams are nothing but just to make you all understand that it's almost like equivalent to Department of Social Welfare मान के चलिए, और उसमें specialized जो team होता है वो children families. Since 2003 in the UK and became a social worker in 2006. And he has also practiced as a senior practitioner, means थोड़ा सा higher up manager level पे, 2011, and he worked with children supported to live with their families. So बच्चों को उनकी घर पे ही रख के जो परवरिश करना है, जैसे विजय सर बोले हैं, जो स्कीम है या उनका देखभाल करना है, वो तब से ही उन्होंने काम करते आ रहा है. He has been working there, and then especially children in kinship care, which obviously we are going to talk about, fostering and adoption placements as well. Adoption के बारे में हमको स्मृति जी थोड़ा डिटेल में बता देगी बाद में. Since 2013, Devi has been a senior lecturer on the social work BSc degree at University of Gloucestershire. So अब काम करने के बाद after the work and the experience, now he is teaching. So उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा relate करते हैं कि whatever his experience has been to the students, so that they can become good social workers, not only good students but good social workers at the University of Gloucestershire. And he has a research interest in how to prevent recurrent care proceedings by supporting mothers after a child has been removed from their care. इसका ये मतलब है कि मैं भी सोशल वर्क 15 साल किया हूँ यूके में, और डेवी का ये पैशन रहा कि कभी कभी बार बार हमने एक बच्चा पैदा हुआ, एक माँ को वो ड्रग्स के चलते या डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस के चलते या मेंटल हेल्थ के चलते हम जाते हैं, बच्चों को उठा देते हैं और हम परवरिश करते हैं, गवर्नमेंट परवरिश करता है, और सेकंड चाइल्ड आया, फिर वो साइकिल रिपीट हो जाता है, जो वो सुधरता नहीं है, वो विशियस सर्किल जो हम बोलते हैं. It becomes a kind of vicious circle. I have one mother where at least 8 of her children were removed from the local authority continuously. So she had 8 children and none of the children lives with her. So is it the system fault? That is what Davy questions, or is actually mother's fault? If so, can we actually get anything better so that वो जो बच्चे जो है उनकी माँ के पास या पापा के पास रह पाएंगे? So Davy, once again, thank you very much for agreeing to come on board and give your presentation. Yeah, the floor is yours. Let me make, I don't know, you can share the screen. If not, I can make you host. Can you try to
make me host? That would be great.
Oh.
It doesn't share unless I'm host, I think.
Yeah.
Namaste, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Shaker, for introducing me. Let me just share my screen and see if this works. Okay. Mind sharing my slides? It said my system preference needs to
It's okay.
allow Zoom. So, or I could do it without the slides as well, Shaker.
No,
if
I
that's easier.
can share, David. You kindly share. So let me try.
Thank you. So can I just start while Shaker's bringing that up? That
Would you mind to make me host, David? I think you got the powers now. Sorry.
I have the power. How do I do that?
So you go on
I
to
think
your.
you can present, David. Now you are also the host.
Okay.
You
So
can share the screen.
Make host. There you go. Change
Thank you.
host. Thank you,
I got the
Shaker.
powers. Thank you. Yeah.
So let me just start by saying that thank you. Being from the United Kingdom and from England and Gloucestershire, I'm speaking very much from a UK perspective, and I'm just very conscious that there is learning to be had from a UK perspective, but culturally we are very different in terms of India and the UK, whereas you have 472 million children in India. I believe we have 11.7 million children. So in terms of the scale of how many people live in India, that's one thing. Also the diversity of languages spoken, and also ways of being and doing, different religions, faiths, community approaches. So I just wanted to acknowledge from the outset, there's great diversity from an Indian perspective and a UK perspective, but there is learning to be had potentially from ways of learning from our history, from the UK's history. So the presentation I'm looking at this evening with you is moving from institutional to alternative care in the UK. And like Shaker has already said, I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Gloucestershire and also a course lead teaching social work students. So Shaker, if you want to move the slide on, that would be great. So in terms of the history of children's homes in the United Kingdom, initially in the 1800s, we're talking nearly 200 years ago now, aren't we? Workhouses were what we now know children's homes, and workhouses were often where children that were abandoned, orphaned, would go to live and work, and that they existed up until 1945, 46, just after the Second World War, where they were abolished in the United Kingdom. And since then, they were seen as children's homes, and where children's homes were used as well, not only for children that were abandoned or orphaned, but also for children who had committed offences. And children's homes initially and traditionally have been seen as quite punitive historically in the UK, bringing up children. So often there would be quite harsh regimes historically in the UK of bringing up children in children's homes. And actually there have been quite a lot of scandals in history within children's homes of physical and sexual abuses reported. And actually in 50, 60 years ago, some children were transported to different countries, and some children were transported to Australia, Canada, other countries, without any family being aware of those children being transported outside of the UK and to different countries. And at times that meant their siblings would have been separated from siblings and separated from family members, even if they were still living in the UK, those siblings. And in more recent years, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, reunification of children that were transported out to different countries occurred. Also, historically, there are great evidence of abuses where there were remains of children recently dug up from children's homes in Jersey, an island just off the United Kingdom mainland, Northern Ireland, and also other areas in the country where children's remains were actually dug up. Huge abuses, children had died and been buried, and there was no registering of these children's deaths. And then moving into more recent history, we have had very much since the 1960s an anti-institutional movement in the UK. This has been very much around the fact that children's homes weren't meeting needs of children at times. They weren't protecting children and keeping them safe. And like I've said, that those abuses that were occurring. So there were significant changes in social policy in the 60s. In 1969, there was a change in legislation. And more recently, in the Children Act 1989, there was a great focus on supporting children grow up within their families, not just their birth parents, but also extended family as well. And that importance was very much seen as alternative care to that of children's homes. And that included foster placements, where there were specially trained and supported foster carers in the community to support children within a family home, or family carers or community connected friends and community carers that were supporting children. In 1978, just to give you some statistics around this, there are 32% of children living in residential care that were seen as children in care at the time. That's almost a third of children in care were in residential care in children's homes. By 1986, it reduced to 21%, and then far more recent, 1% of all children that are children in care, which is 102,000 children in care currently in the UK, or in England, sorry, it is only 14%. And the majority of that 14% of children now are older, so they're often in their teenage years, and it is often around supporting them with difficulties with education, potentially due to youth offending issues, and also supporting them with complex mental health needs as well. And in 2015, this figure of 152,000 children were placed in extended family. They weren't seen as children in care, but they were very much children. So the argument for family alternative care is very much because of greater support within a family environment, greater nurture, often within that family environment. And there is some research that has been carried out in the UK that children the fact there were many different staff members in children's homes, they didn't really know them particularly well, and they were very much on shift work. So some worked sometimes, some worked other times. Restraint is also used at times in children's homes, not all the time, but restraint where children could be a risk to self or others, and that can be used incorrectly at times as well. So it's quite a controversial thing. So if we move on to looking at the next slide, Shaker, it's looking at human rights, and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child very much embeds the protections for children since 1989, protection, violence, and all types of abuse. I think in many ways the anti-institutional movement in the UK, from children's homes to family homes and alternative care, has been very much about trying to protect children. Provisions of family life, health, and education are also conveyed by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And that's very much supporting children have access to family life, culture, and also participating in that through knowing who they are and their identity, being respected, and children and their families having their views heard, very much participating in that. And then in terms of alternative care, growing up in a family as opposed to an institution, very much links in with growing movement around attachment theory in the UK since the 50s. You may have heard of John Bowlby talking about attachment, children forming attachments to their family carers or their primary carers. And actually, Schofield and Beek in 2005 developed something called the secure base model, which is based on attachment theory, but also based on good relationships that children need growing up. And this could be in a family or friends or community setting, alternative care setting within a family situation, where they feel that availability, where the child has carers that are there for them, that the child can trust, that the child can talk to and gain support when they need it. Sensitivity, helping the child to manage their feelings and emotions when they're upset, who picks them up and supports them and helps them when they're distressed. Acceptance, seeing the child for who they are, caring about them, loving them, and bringing them up in a way that makes them feel very much sense of that belonging and that family membership, helping that child to belong. And at times, that also means that child can feel effective. The world makes sense to them and they can see where they are in terms of where they fit in terms of that family, and also their purpose, their role within that family, and the roles and responsibilities they may have as a child growing up. Institutional care has at times not been able to provide that availability, sensitivity, that sense of family membership and acceptance and cooperation that the secure base model from Schofield and Beek advocates for. And also, it sort of moves us on as well to a approach that the UK has very much adopted from an international perspective from New Zealand. And this is called family group conferences, and developed in New Zealand for the Maori communities in New Zealand, where they were distinctly very, very culturally aware that the Maori children growing up in foster or adoptive care, alternative care outside of their communities and outside of their culture, weren't having their needs met. And therefore, family group conferences used very much a community social work perspective and an approach where it brought the families and communities together to talk about, okay, what is it this child needs and how can we best support that child within the community, as opposed to placing them outside of that in either residential care or adopted outside of that community or fostered outside that community. So a family group conference brings families, communities together with the child or young person present at times as well. And it empowers, gives the power back to families and communities to say, how could we best support this child grow up safely, securely, and supported within our community? Again, that sort of supports that protective, the participation and provision that the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child advocates for, and one in which I think is improving outcomes for children. In the UK, we are by far and away, no means, we do not have this sorted out. Rising levels of children in care still don't have great outcomes. We still need to work harder at supporting children with education, with their health, with that secure base, with having reduced placement moves, and also trying to support families as best we can to care for children within the family network. And at times that doesn't always happen. And at times that causes tension. But I think, Sheikha, that's all I have to say at the moment. There's some references at the end of that slide there to some of the things that I've been citing from and have researched around. There you go.
Thank you very much, Devi. What amazed me is that wo jo secure-based model. I used to attend the training for at least half a day, if not a whole day, and you summed up in 3 minutes. So it's actually, I'm quite impressed. So I should learn that. how to secure the secure-based model in 3 minutes rather than 3 hours. एंड मैं थोड़ा सा बताना चाहता हूँ कि जो जर्सी का जो वर्ड देवी ने मेंशन किया था, आई वर्कड इन जर्सी एंड जब वो बोन्स, अभी कितने लोग आपको याद होगा कि कनाडा में अनर्थ हुआ है इसी हफ्ता, लगभग 700 बच्चों का शायद ग्रेवयार्ड अभी हो रहा है. Now Canada is in the midst of actually excavating those bones. The similar thing happened in Jersey when I was a social worker, and there was a big, inquiry which costed crores and crores. In UK language, millions and millions. जो हम करोड़ बोलते हैं इधर. So thank you very much, Debbie, for giving that the snap of, especially bringing the family group conferencing model, जिसको हम community based rehabilitative childcare model भी बोल सकते हैं इंडिया में. और actually हमारे इंडिया सेटिंग के लिए if it is happening, कहीं हो रहा है, that's really good. And if it is not, I think we ought to adopt it because it actually perfectly matches to our community. Because Nelson Mandela has said, it takes a village to raise a child, not just one family or two parents. And if it is a village to take care of a child, then our village community are far, far better placed to do that. Hence, once again, बहुत धन्यवाद. धन्यवाद being thanks, Devi, in Hindi, for highlighting that pertinent issue. I think which gives a kind of food for thought for us to go forward, certainly. The next speaker would like to invite Madhavi ma'am. I must say why Madhavi ma'am, especially that the title carries on, because I'm very proud that after 15 years managed to contact 15 साल के बाद मैडम से 10 दिन पहले बात हुआ था इसी कॉन्फ्रेंस या वेबिनार के लेके, और मेरी टीचर रही मैडम, so of course ma'am remains always madam. So once again, thank you for accepting and agreeing in such a short notice while you've been hectic schedule, ma'am. माधवी जी के बारे में मैं थोड़ा सा शब्द में बोलना चाहते हैं कि माधवी मैम इज ए फ्रीलांस डेवलपमेंट कंसल्टेंट कहला जाती है. 24 years, 24 साल से उन्होंने ये काम कर रही है in diverse workplace environments. Involved in development sector in 1996. Actually, उधर से उनका शुरू हुआ है, और that was the year actually I was in BSW second year. So let's openly say that bachelor's in social work of second year, and she worked as a lecturer, and then she promoted for her hard work as a director of post graduation section. And जब वो post graduation में आई थी, then of course I was the master's student. Hence, I still remember those social policies which are taught by ma'am. I always say that. So she was associated with Roda Mestri College of Social Work and Research Center, which is a part of Osmania University, Hyderabad, for almost 10 years. And she really laid those pillars for that institution. And now undertaking research and trainings to leading international NGOs or local NGOs, universities, you name it, she's always there. She got too many hats and too many thematics. I don't know how she manages, but I mean, kar leti hai. Expert in designing, assessment, institution building, capacity development, monitoring and evaluation and development, programs on themes related to women, children, gender, panchayat raj, disaster preparedness, management, health, counseling, वाटर एंड सैनिटेशन, एजुकेशन, एग्रीकल्चर, लाइवलीहुड्स। शायद ऐसा कोई चीज नहीं है कि मैडम छोड़ी है कि ये मेरे लिए नहीं है, बस की बात है। So she comes from that kind of vast jack of all, but I think she's master of few as well, but jack of all trades. So I have utmost privilege of welcoming you, ma'am, for giving reflection of your experiences, especially the southern experiences of working in Telugu states, how around the alternative care or making sure that children are actually provided that safety net to the best of the possibility, so that their best interests are protected. So would you mind, ma'am, shall I put your slide as well, like
Yeah.
Davies? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes,
Just
you can share.
give me just a minute, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Shekhar, for your long intro.
Yes. Can you see the screen, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go to slide share. Oh, I'm not able to go to
Yeah.
slide share. Here we go.
Yes.
You can carry on.
So good evening, everybody. Just now, Shekhar had introduced me with a very long introduction, but I don't know whether I'll deserve for all those or not. You have to decide later on. So my topic for this today is experiences of implementing alternative care models in South India. So earlier it was given to Prabhat, Save the Children, from Save the Children, to explain about Rajasthan's experiences. But later on that was changed to South India. So just a change in the schedule. So as I was more involved in South India related programs related to alternative care models. So I try to present on the experiences of my own on this. So next session, yeah. So first, when you talk of alternative care, first we should know about why to care for children. So we all know that children are especially very sensitive and they need protection, and they are under exploitation, negligence, and discrimination, all these. And because of all these problems, many were offered into institutional care. There are a lot of children's homes in India, and in these institutional care, that is through children's homes, a lot of in children's homes also, there are different names for that and different schemes for that. So conventional orphanages are there, group homes are there, juvenile justice homes are there, observation homes are there. Like that, there are a lot of institutions which is offering care and protection for the children. But out of all these, though these number of institutions are there, children are growing in numbers, and our institutions which are offering services are overcrowded. And adverse effects on children who spend long periods of time, if they are spending without the family and they're spending in the institutions itself, they lack love and affection. So all the community engagement, all these they are missing. So there may be, or there are so many adverse effects on children because of these, because they are not with the society. As you all know, man is a social animal. So though they are mingling with the other children within the institution, that is children's homes, but they lack community care, love, and most prominently is family care. So that they are missing. So because of that, we need care for the children. Yes, next one. So who need this alternative care? Because I'm not talking about anything about, because my topic itself is on alternative care. So I didn't talk about institutional care at all. So just why we are shifting to alternative care, because of that, I have given the example of the institutional care. So the Bible or the Quran or Bhagavad Gita for all in India to work with the children is our JJ Act of 2015. So as per this, whatever the whatever is given, whatever the sections are given in these provisions are given in JJ Act 2015, we are following it and for the care and protection of the children. So this act clearly says that homeless, child laborers, beggars, street children, and those who are residing with a person who abuses, exploits, residing with a person who is mentally or physically unable to care, missing or runaway child, orphaned or surrounded by parents, addicted to drugs, trafficked. Now Vijayji was talking about trafficking because of pandemic. So the victim of armed conflict, civil unrest or natural disaster, and risk of marriage before attaining the child marriage. So all these categories of children need alternative care. Yes. Go to the next one. Yeah. So what is alternative care? And it is regarding the protection and well-being of children who are deprived of parents, who are at risk of being so. That is, if they lack the caregiver, that is parents, mostly the parents, if they don't have that, automatically the protection and well-being of the children will be in a stake. So because of that, alternative care is needed for them. So earlier in Davies' presentation also UNCRC has come. That is Article 18 of UNCRC states that in Article 20 states that children who are looked after by their own family have a right to special care and must be looked properly by people who respect their ethnic group, religion, culture. So UNCRC is also focusing much on the family care for the children. Yes. Next. So it has given the specified the rights for the children. Those are survival rights, development rights, protection rights, and participation. These are the 4 kind of groups of rights which were allocated or which were provided to the children by UNCRC. So all these has to be protected when they are in either in the institution or in the community or with the family. So, but see that these 4 kinds of rights are fulfilled. Yes. Next. So here I just would like to bring into, before talking about alternative care, first UNCRC is the first one to mention, that is in 1989, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC, is the first binding international convention in relation to the rights of the child. When you talk about care and protection of the children, this is the first one to mention about. So based on this, only the rest of the things have come in India, particularly in India. So in 1992, India had signed on that convention. It was a part, it became a part in this convention in 1992. That means for every 5 years, they need to update to UNCRC about the status of the rights of the children in India. That is, whoever is a member country in that, they have to explain, or they have to explain the progress of the child rights in that particular country to UNCRC. So likewise, India also have to do that for every 5 years. Yes, next. So, and you all very well know that Constitution of India is also the major one to take up the child rights in India. So Indian Constitution Article 39 is also focusing on that children opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of the dignity, and that childhood and youth are protected against exploitation and moral and material abandonment. So it is also focusing much on the rights of the children. So we need to protect the rights of the children. Next one. So Juvenile Justice Act, as I told you, that first it came in 1986, but later on it was amended in 1915. So that act is called as Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act, came into force. So it has two main purposes. These are to solidify processes for children in contact with the law and to solidify processes for children in need of care and protection. So children in need of care and protection, that is one of the concepts which need to be known, that is children in need of care and protection, CNCP. These are all the terminologies which are used in Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act. And the other important thing to be informed or to be explained is ICPS, Integrated Child Protection Scheme, ICPS we call them. It came into existence in the year 2019, but later on it was renamed as CPS in the year 2017. From then it is called as CPS, so Child Protection Services Scheme. So here again, this applies to all children, but place more emphasis on the vulnerable children. And who are those vulnerable children? We already informed in the first slide itself, that is beggars, child labor, child marriage, those who are prone into child labor, trafficking. So all these children come under that, the more vulnerable children. And on them, it focuses, it places much emphasis by ICPS. And under ICPS, various child protection structures have been developed. And these structures are also called as your CWC, Child Welfare Committee, and also DCPU. So these are the structures which were constructed at different levels to take or to work with the children's work on the children's protection. In 2012, two new platforms, for child protection have been created under ICPS. So in southern states, so that is Telangana and Andhra, if you take, mandal level CPCs committees were formed, and at the panchayat level PLCPCs were formed. So these will be helping the state governments to decentralize the existing structure for protection of the child rights. These are the new committees which were formed in 2012. Yes. So next actually comes the forms of alternative care. What are the different forms? We have both formal care and informal care within the alternative care itself. So in this permanent or temporary, family strengthening is one part, and sponsorship is one part, and kinship care, foster care, adoption, aftercare, and child care institutions. These are the different forms of alternative care models which are existing in our India. Yes. Next. So, but if you know that, for example, take for example, a case comes for you saying that this is the child of orphan child or a semi-orphan child, or for example, the present case if you take, that is due to COVID, they lost the parents. Both the parents were no more and the child is there. So that case comes to you or to anybody. So immediately it has to be informed to CWC. CWC means Child Welfare Committee. That will be at the district level. So at the district level, Child Welfare Committee will be there, and with some five members body committee. So with a chairperson and four other members will be there. So they will be responsible for deciding which form of alternative care. In the earlier slide, I have mentioned you about different forms of alternative care. Either it may be kinship care or sponsorship, foster care, adoption, or whatever it may be. But it is not the child who will be selecting out of these forms, but based on the social investigation report, which will be done at community level by CWC. All these team members will go to the community from where the child hails from. So they develop a report, they do the social investigation, and then prepare the report and submit, and submit to DCPU, and DCPU is the District Child Protection Unit that will be at the district level again. So this is one of the structure which is existing at present in Telugu states and even other southern states and all the other states all throughout the nation. So this will be again developing another need assessment report at the child level. DCPU will take up the need assessment report at the child level, and these two reports will be submitted to the district collector, concerned district collector. So in that report, they'll submit their recommendations. What form of alternative care need to be done to that particular child, whether they can be sent to their foster care or kinship care or institutional care or whatever the form based on the conditions existing in the community and in the child's family. So based on that, they submit the report, and even that also includes the legal and psychological counselors reports also will be done. So this is the procedure at the district level to the patient, to the child who is in disgust or who is in a trouble. This is the procedure. Next. So the scheme, there are different schemes for alternative care that to particularly before COVID, there are some schemes, and after care, almost all the majority of the states have come forward with a lot of schemes offering to the children. So you all very well know that PM Cares for Children, that is the central scheme, which was offered by Modi government. So they'll be depositing 11 to 18 years of age will be given admission in any central government residential schools, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Sainik school, etc. But again, if they lost, the child lost both the parents, then the surviving parent or the legal guardian will be getting 10 lakhs. So that will be deposited in the bank, and at the time of maturation of that 18 years, when the child attain 18 years, that amount will be given to the child. That is for their next, again, that will be deposited in the bank. But this amount, whatever the interest that is coming, that will be coming every month to the child. And all children will also be enrolled as a beneficiary under Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. This health insurance also will cover, will also be there, is also granted by the central government. And this is from these two are from the central government for every child who lost their parents, both the parents due to COVID. Next. But coming to the states, Aapki Beti Yojana scheme is there. Palanhar Yojana, that is in Rajasthan, to provide NIAC, that is non-institutional alternative care services in the form of financial assistance for belonging to one or more or 9 of the categories. That is all the categories which I have mentioned in the first slide, like beggars or destitutes or semi-orphans or whatever. They come under, if the child comes under that, they will be given financial assistance under Palanhar Yojana scheme. And this is existing in Rajasthan. Mukhyamantri Hunar Vikas Yojana provides financial assistance. Along with that, vocational training, lodging and counseling to youth between the age of 17 to 21 years. Because when they reach from child to move from child stage to the adulthood. So this is also important link to the vocational training, and counseling will also be given. And it aims to prepare the children for independent living, sustaining themselves and improving their capacity to contribute to become independent on their own. So this vocational training will also be given under Mukhyamantri Hunar Vikas Yojana. Next. So coming to the state schemes. In Maharashtra, we have Chief Minister's Sishu Seva scheme. That is every month they'll be providing 3,500 per month. It is after COVID. And Madhya Pradesh, Bal Kalyan Yojana 5,000. Chhattisgarh, Mahatari Dulan Yojana 500. Rajasthan Palanhar Yojana rupees 500 per month. And Bihar Parvarish, that means child rising. That is now it has been increased to 500 to 1,500. Now after COVID, they have increased to that one. And in southern India, if you take South India, In Tamil Nadu, 5 lakhs rupees in the form of deposit in the beneficiary's name that will be immediately given to the child family, and immediate relief 3 lakh to the surviving parent, and monthly allowance of 3,000 for children. This is also, these three were given to the allocated to by the Tamil Nadu government. But in Kerala, again 3 lakh immediate relief, 2,000 monthly allowance, and educational expenses. But let me tell you one thing, that is before COVID, in general, but to generalize, it is 500 given to the foster parent or the children who are in distress or orphan, whoever is placed with an other person or with the family for that non-institutional care. It is only the 500 rupees per month which was given. That is before COVID. But after COVID, all these modifications have come into existence because of the pandemic. So in AP, if you take, which is Telugu states, I have more data, and also as I have worked with them. So AP, at least 135 children have lost both parents, while 1,716 children lost at least one parent to COVID-19 from March 1 to 28th May. Only 3 of 1851 victim children are provided institutional care, but the remaining are with the immediate family. So that means much of the emphasis has been given to the family care, non-institutional care, rather than giving it to the institutional care. But still there are some red flags which were raised by NCPCR. I'll tell you about that. For foster care, earlier it was 500 per month. For semi-orphan, it was given. That too, there is a restriction to that. That is, they should have white ration card. The child or the family survivor has to possess the white ration card, that is poverty card, and now no insurance coverage, should not have any other insurance. And now the AP government has come out with the scheme that 1 lakh rupee were deposited in the name of the child after COVID, if they lost their parents. And that scheme, entire scheme is monitored by foster care, everything is monitored by women police, Anganwadi worker, and child development project officer. They will be monitoring the program right from village level to the higher level, CDPO level. So women police, I just would like to mention about this. This is the new structure which has been included in AP. That is, the village secretariat system has been incorporated in that. So each village will be having, for every 50,000 families, 50 families, one village volunteer will be there. Along with that, a village secretariat will be there. In village secretariat, women police, women welfare officer, like that, there are different categories who will be looking after related to their own sector matters. So women police is here, is responsible for monitoring this alternative care institution in AP. And CWC chairperson and DCPO will recommend the case for alternative care, as I mentioned earlier. Next. Yeah. In Telangana, as I said, it was earlier, it was only 500 rupees. Go to the prior one. Yes. And due to third wave, there are no other benefits given by the state governments later on. Only the PM CARES program will be continuing. But there are a lot of arrangements which were made in Telangana due to the threat of third wave. That is, separate dedicated isolation rooms were created at 57 children's homes, and 4 transit homes have been readily taken care for children during isolation. And apart from full-time care centers, few individual caregivers were also registered to take care of the children if the parents are suffering with COVID. If the children are non-COVID, then to take care of them. And mobile phones were given to the children to the survivals or to the parents of the children, because to inform about their own whereabouts, how are they, these things, to explain about that, mobile phones were given to them. Yes, next one. So these are the statistics. I don't want to. 143 children have been orphaned as a result of 2 waves in coronavirus up to June 4 are under monitoring and supervision of child welfare committees and district child protection units. This is I'm talking about only Hyderabad district in Telangana. But in Telangana again, yes, carry on, go to the next one. So district child protection units were equipped with a vehicle to quickly reach to the distress if there is a call to 1098 child helpline. So from there, immediately they go to the families, and some money was also parked with the DCPO and to meet their immediate requirements. And in case children whose parents have tested positive, again, they will be sent to the transit homes, children will be, and CW department has partnered with several NGOs also, that is including Save the Children. And here in Telangana, Mahita is there, and also we have another organization called APSA. So all these organizations are providing kits containing provisions, stationery items, diapers, etc. in case of young children. So these are tied up with the provisions given by the NGOs due to the tie up with the NGOs. And from February 19 to 2020, department have averted 977 child marriages in the state. Since the pandemic broke, the number has gone to 1,355. Recently, that is a week ago, I personally has informed one child marriage case to 1098 case, and the case has been resolved. The child has passed in 10th class at this in the first class with this not in the first rank in the school, but that girl is belonging to a tribal family, but the family has arranged for a marriage immediately after passing out 10th class. Though it is a child marriage, the child explained to her friend, and her friend was in our project. So immediately she informed us, she wanted to do something to her friend. So immediately we have informed the case to 1098, and we have saved that girl, and the father was counseled for that. So there are different cases like that for child labor and child marriages, yeah, reported by the children. And here, one more thing, though I have mentioned about all these states and their interventions in alternative care arrangements, but there is a red flag which was raised by NCPCR, that is in 8 states, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Mizoram, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, and Meghalaya, have 1.84 lakhs, nearly 72% children are out of families in the country. That means they are in the institutional care. The problem here is child welfare committees, majority of the child welfare committees and DCPUs are advising the in their social investigation report and need assessment report that the children's families are very poor. They cannot manage the children's cost because they are destitute. So that is an additional burden to them itself because they have their own families. So because of that, they are recommending the state government to take care of these children in the institutions, to keep them in the institutions. So that is the reason majority of the children are in the institutions than going to the alternative care institutions. So the NCPCR has directed the district magistrate to see that all these go back to the families in 100 days time period. And this happened in September 2020. And now I'm also following up with the chairperson here in Telangana state, what happened, whether the case has been resolved or not, whether they have been sent to the families or not. Yeah. So this is about different states, how alternative care is being taken care. And I have come to the last one, that is benefits. Benefits of NIAC. There is a movie called, I think in Telugu, many majority of you Telugu people might have seen. In one, there will be a hero, will be a gangster, not a gangster, it's a professional killer. His runaway case from the childhood, he went off from the family and he returns unknowingly to another family, But there, after seeing their love and affection, bond, family bond, everything, he says that when the aunt asked why you didn't return from the time of your childhood till now, you didn't come back to the family, then he says, I don't know that the home will be this much sweet or this much lovely. I hope Shekhar will be knowing it is the movie of Atadu, Mahesh Babu's movie. Okay, so this is the bond of the family within in the community itself. So community will also be having a network, support systems, and along with that, within that, the family is so secured. So family-based care is the most important model, which can be our community care model will be the very important model which need to be taken care when you talk about children's care and protection. Go to the last one. So I need not explain all these challenges are there. There are many challenges, and keeping in view the Palnihar Yojana in Rajasthan, I've taken out from their report the challenges in NIAC. There was no monitoring, no exhaustive formalities are there. When I was talking about one of the CDPO in AP, she was mentioning about there are a minimum of 16 forms to be filled to join the children or to attach the child to a family. So that much exhaustive procedure, there are a lot of challenges involved. Last one. So because of all these, we need to see that where are these gaps and how best we can build those gaps, and then how to work on these so that we can strengthen the system of all these. Because of these, we can say that there is a need to work on this issue, alternative care, wherever the gaps, because on all these challenges, we need to work. There is a lot of score in every state. It's not only in AP or Telangana or southern states. In almost all the states, we need to take care of all these challenges. And that's it. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please send it, park in chat box. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That gives a kind of a snapshot of what has been announced by different governments, including central government. Just before I would like to share this, because you have made me to, or you made it's become a kind of compulsory that now I show this slide if everybody can see it. Can everybody see what I'm sharing now?
Yes, yes.
A girl.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Can you see
Yes.
a girl? How many times
Yeah.
did we hear like this in India? That is a slide. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. The reason I'm saying is, since ma'am has mentioned about the power of alternative care, the power of the love and affection of the family, which is only available in family, and no matter how much the 5-star facilities we provide in children homes, which there is, I'm not exaggerating, these are the such kind of conditions are experienced by the UK children, and I'm sure Devi won't challenge me. They are like 5-star hotels or 5-star facilities, but still that the key ingredients of love and affection of a family, what family can provide, would always miss. And this is the reason I wanted to share this girl. I don't know how many of you know she is actually won so many medals for United States in gymnast, and she was a foster child, and she said, I'm proud to be a foster. And these are not the only one, and this is the another list. I was actually making a presentation. All these great people were actually either foster or adopted. And today, for my surprise, I don't know, Madhulata ma'am, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I learned that the best IQ Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, who was able to speak 16 languages, was adopted at the age of 3. And if he wouldn't have been adopted and given that kind of family environment, I think our nation would have been ashamed of missing and losing such a great prime minister who is known for his oration and languages, especially 16+ languages. So that is the power of alternative care. I just wanted to reiterate. So once again, thank you very much, ma'am. And without losing, as we are slightly ahead of, running behind of the schedule, I would like to go to Smriti. Smriti, apologies for some delay in proceedings. Are you ready?
No worries at all. Yes, I'm ready.
Yeah, just.
And Shekhar, if you give me the sharing rights, I'll try to once share my own screen and see if that works.
Yeah, not a problem. And I'll see, although my colleagues used to pull my leg that men can't be multitasking. I'll try to introduce you while trying to give you the rights as well. Smriti Gupta is the co-founder of Where Are India's Children? Always, actually, I love that sentence, that name, Smriti. And I think Vijay sir has mentioned a little bit that actually there are many children who are unaccounted for, missed out of that safety net because there are too many big holes, I think, in that safety net in India. And you are India's Children and Partnerships and Technology professional, and you're working to drive awareness and find lasting solutions for abandoned and orphaned children in India. Smriti is an adoptive mother. We salute you, Smriti, of 2 daughters, beautiful daughters, and a champion for adoption for children. So we say charity works from home. जो होता है घर से शुरू होता है, and you have proven that by adopting 2 beautiful children with special needs, older children and siblings, this has been your passion to make sure that these 3 vulnerable, highly vulnerable groups have been provided such kind of family care. Smriti has previously worked with Wikimedia Foundation, PayPal, which is a part of eBay, and Synopsys. Smriti is an alum of Indian School of Business, ISB, Carnegie Mellon University, and the Cooper Union, Carnegie being from the US. Smriti, once again, thank you very much for agreeing in a short notice, despite of your schedule being really hectic. So the floor belongs to you while making you the host. Here we go, Smriti. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shekhar. Let me now try sharing. Okay. All right. Okay, I think Shekhar, you probably have to stop sharing if you're still sharing your screen. Yeah. Okay. Let me try again. Sorry, 1 second. Let me just open the. You're talking about multitasking. Shekhar, looks like I'm not very good at it either. All right, let's see. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Smriti.
Okay, great. So Shekhar, you had mentioned that it would be, I should be speaking in Hindi, so I can do that. So quick question there. My slides are in English. If I speak in Hindi, would that work for everyone?
I think maybe a mix of both.
Mix of both? Okay, that's
Yeah.
so ma'am, what I'll do, since the slides are in English, I'll speak in Hindi and then maybe I'll summarize the slide in English.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if at some point I get super confused, then please let me know.
Don't worry.
All right, great, thank you. Hi everyone, thank you for being here. Shekhar, one sanity check. Is my screen half covered from the side panel, or can you see the full screen?
We can see this full screen, Smriti.
You can see the full screen?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay, so thank you for having me. Good evening everyone. इतनी रात को आप लोग बैठे हैं इस presentation के लिए, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. तो शेखर ने ऑलरेडी मेरी थोड़ी इंट्रोडक्शन दी है. तो मेरी जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जिस चीज पे काम करती है, वी आर वर्किंग इन द एरिया ऑफ स्पेसिफिकली इन द एरिया ऑफ अडॉप्शन. सो आज जो इंडिया में अडॉप्शन का सीन है, मतलब जितनी अडॉप्शंस इंडिया में हो रही हैं, हमारा एस्टिमेट है कि इससे बहुत ज़्यादा अडॉप्शंस इंडिया में हो सकती हैं। इंडिया में बच्चे हैं जिनको अडॉप्शन की ज़रूरत है, इट्स जस्ट कि वो अडॉप्शन तक पहुंच नहीं पा रहे हैं। तो वी कैन अचीव 25x इंक्रीज इन चाइल्ड अडॉप्शन इन इंडिया। और मैं I'll talk about how can we do that, what are some of the solutions we can look at and how we can achieve that in the coming years as soon as possible, ताकि children are not in shelters and they reach their families. तो सबसे पहले मैं इंडिया में जो अडॉप्शन लैंडस्केप है उसकी बात करना चाहूंगी। जब भी मैं किसी से अडॉप्शन की बात करती हूँ, लोग सबसे पहले यही बोलते हैं कि यार हमारा तो माइंडसेट ही ऐसा है, लोग अडॉप्ट ही नहीं करते हैं। तो मुझे काउंटर करना पड़ता है कि एक्चुअली आज वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वो प्रॉब्लम बहुत कम हो रही है। इंडिया अब बदल रहा है, लोग अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं। आप लोगों ने कोविड में देखा होगा कितने सारे मैसेजेस थे जिसमें लोग कह रहे थे हम अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं, हम हेल्प करना चाहते हैं। उन लोगों को प्रोसेस के बारे में नहीं पता था और उनका थोड़ा शायद नी जर्क रिएक्शन था। लेकिन वो एक दिखा रहा था कि हमारा समाज काफी हद तक इस चीज के लिए अब रेडी है। एंड इवन कोविड से पहले भी, कोविड से पहले तक करीब 30,000 फैमिलीज हैं, और ये कोविड की वजह से नहीं है, कोविड से पहले का नंबर है। 30,000 फैमिलीज हैं जो कि आज के दौर में कारा के साथ रजिस्टर्ड हैं, वेटेड हैं, और ये सारी फैमिलीज अब बच्चों को अडॉप्ट करने के लिए विलिंग हैं। सो वी हैव 30,000 फैमिलीज हु आर वेटिंग टू अडॉप्ट। तो अब काफी ये फैमिलीज नॉर्मल कैटेगरी में, जिन बच्चों की नॉर्मल हेल्थ है और छोटे बच्चे हैं, इनमें से काफी फैमिलीज उनको अडॉप्ट करना चाहेंगी। लेकिन वहां भी बदलाव आ रहा है। इंडिया में अभी भी अब ऐसी फैमिलीज आ रही हैं, ऐसी यंगर जनरेशन आ रही है, ऐसे लोग आ रहे हैं जो बड़े बच्चों को अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं। और बड़े बच्चों से मेरा मतलब है 10 साल से भी ऊपर बच्चे, जो सिबलिंग्स को अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं, जो स्पेशल नीड बच्चों को अडॉप्ट करना चाहते हैं। इनफैक्ट आज के दौर में I'll ask this question to the audience. कोई गेस कर सकता है कि जो पेरेंट की वेटिंग लिस्ट है वो कौन सी उम्र तक के बच्चों के लिए है? मतलब कि जो पेरेंट्स आज बच्चों की वेट कर रहे हैं वो 2 साल, मतलब न्यू बॉर्न से लेके 2 साल तक के बच्चों की वेट कर रहे हैं, 2 से 5 साल तक, 5 से 6 साल तक। So can anybody guess today what is, up till what age are parents waiting to adopt children? The age of the child. Any guesses?
Maybe 14.
Close, a little lower. Any other guess?
12 years?
I'm sorry, Naresh?
12 years, ma'am?
12, yeah, quite close. So it's 10. So today there is a waiting list of people to adopt children up to 10 years of age. 10 साल तक के बच्चों के लिए आज पेरेंट्स की वेटिंग लिस्ट है। और उसके बाद जो उससे बड़े बच्चे हैं, प्री टीन्स, टीन्स, they are also getting adopted. So India is shifting. People want to adopt. People are adopting kids of all ages. In fact, I do adoption counseling. मैं adoption counseling करती हूँ। और पिछले 3 केसेस जो मैंने काउंसलिंग की है, उसमें एक केस वो था जिसमें एक फैमिली ने 4 बच्चे अडॉप्ट किए हैं, 4 भाई बहन। एक फैमिली ने स्पेशल नीड बेटी अडॉप्ट की है और एक फैमिली ने 12 साल की बच्ची अडॉप्ट की है। तो ये चीजें पहले इंडिया में सुनने में नहीं आती थी, पर अब ये चीजें धीरे धीरे बढ़ रही हैं। एंड जो बच्चे इंडिया में अडॉप्ट नहीं होते तो प्रायोरिटी इंडिया में इंडियंस को दी जाती है। पहले बच्चे इंडियन सिटीजन अडॉप्ट करें, उसको प्रायोरिटी दी जाती है। अगर इंडिया में बच्चे अडॉप्ट नहीं हो पाते, एक टाइम पीरियड होता है, उस टाइम में अगर इंडिया में बच्चे अडॉप्ट नहीं हो पाते तो वो जो गैप है वो आजकल इंटरनेशनल अडॉप्शंस उस गैप को मैच करती हैं। तो इंटरनेशनल अडॉप्शन में ज्यादातर वो बच्चे जाते हैं जिनकी स्पेशल नीड काफी हाई हो, या थोड़े उम्र में काफी बड़े हो, या काफी बड़ा सिबलिंग ग्रुप हो। So, people are adopting in India, and kids who do not get adopted in India, that gap today is filled by international adoptions. Now, so where is the challenge, right? If people are willing to adopt, where is the challenge? So, this is where the challenge is. आज का सबसे बड़ा की इशू ये है कि हमारे देश में अबैंडन्ड और जो ऑर्फन बच्चे हैं वो लीगल अडॉप्शन पूल तक नहीं पहुंच पाते हैं। माधवी मैम ने बात की मिलियंस ऑफ अबैंडन्ड एंड ऑर्फन चिल्ड्रन, ये नंबर हम सबको पता है, ये यूनिसेफ का नंबर है कि हमारे देश में 30 मिलियन अबैंडन्ड एंड ऑर्फन बच्चे हैं। अब एक तरह से एक ब्लैक होल है कि बच्चे हैं कहाँ। हो सकता है कुछ बच्चे वो अपनी कम्युनिटीज में एब्जॉर्ब हो जाते हों, बट मिलियंस ऑफ चिल्ड्रन, कहाँ हैं ये बच्चे, राइट? दैट्स पार्टली द नेम ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वेयर आर इंडियाज चिल्ड्रन। नाउ उसमें से करीब आप मान के चलिए कि 2.5 लाख से 5 लाख बच्चे चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशंस में आते हैं। तो ये एक रेंज है, क्योंकि बच्चे आते हैं जाते हैं, तो ये एक मूविंग पूल है। तो इतने बच्चे हमारे चाइल्ड शेल्टर्स में हैं आज, जिनको हम फॉर्मली चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशन CCIs बोलते हैं। लेकिन अगर आप किसी भी टाइम पे अडॉप्शन पूल देखेंगे, उसमें करीब सिर्फ 2000 बच्चे हैं। तो बच्चे जहाँ कहाँ रहे हैं, तो आज की सबसे प्रॉब्लम पेरेंटल साइड पे नहीं है कि लोग आगे नहीं आ रहे हैं बच्चों को अडॉप्ट करने, उसमें भी लोग आ रहे हैं आगे। ठीक है, थोड़ी स्पेशल नीड की अडॉप्शन मुश्किल है, थोड़े बड़े बच्चों की अडॉप्शन मुश्किल है, पर वो बदल रहा है, वो हो रही है। चेंज जो हमें चाहिए, चेंज हमें चाहिए इस साइड पे कि जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट है, जो हमारे ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं, जो हमारी लोकल अथॉरिटीज हैं, जो हमारे चाइल्ड शेल्टर्स हैं, वो ये समझना शुरू करें कि बच्चे अडॉप्शन में जाते हैं और वो उन बच्चों को अडॉप्शन पूल में लाएं। सो सिमिलरली इसी से रिलेटेड आप ये देखिए, तो आज एक स्टडी की गई थी, एक एनजीओ है मुंबई में, CSA, उन्होंने एक स्टडी की थी कुछ साल पहले। तो उन्होंने नंबर बताया था कि in child shelters 16 to 22% of children living in child shelters today should be reaching the legal adoption pool, but less than 1% of children reach the legal adoption pool. तो आज हमारे जो शेल्टर्स में जो बच्चे हैं, करीब 20% बच्चे उसमें से अडॉप्शन पूल में आने चाहिए, और 1% से भी कम बच्चे आ रहे हैं। और आप सोचेंगे कि बाकी 80% बच्चों का क्या, वो बच्चे कौन हैं? तो वो बच्चे शायद वो हैं जिनके माता पिता हैं, जिन्होंने बच्चों को शेल्टर में डाला हुआ है, पर क्योंकि उनके माता पिता हैं और उनको माता पिता ने सरेंडर नहीं किया है, एटलीस्ट लीगली अभी वो बच्चे अडॉप्शन पूल में नहीं आ सकते। लेकिन सो फिर भी करीब 20% बच्चे हैं जो कि अडॉप्शन पूल में लाए जाने चाहिए। So what is the impact? What is the impact when we are not moving these kids from shelters into the legal adoption pool? Right? In a very basic way, we are violating a child's right to family. We are exposing the children to the negative impact of institutionalization. There is a high risk of abuse and neglect. And then what is the support system after the child is 18? आज जो बच्चे शेल्टर्स में बड़े हो रहे हैं, ठीक है, 18 के बाद अगर उनका थोड़ा बहुत कुछ साल के लिए उनको आगे सपोर्ट भी कर दिया जाए, द पॉइंट इज जब वो बच्चा 30 का होगा, 40 का होगा, 50 का होगा, तब भी उसकी फैमिली नहीं है। द आइडिया है उस बच्चे को जिंदगी भर के लिए एक परिवार अडॉप्शन के थ्रू मिले, तो वो क्यों बच्चे नहीं आ पा रहे हैं? तो ये हमारा प्रेमिस था, हम इस चीज को इवैल्यूएट करना चाहते थे कि लोग अडॉप्शन के लिए तैयार हैं, बच्चे कहाँ हैं। तो इस केस में तो हमने एक स्टडी की थी चाइल्ड शेल्टर्स की 2019-2020 कोविड शुरू होने से जस्ट पहले हमारी स्टडी खत्म हुई, तो एकदम टाइमली मैनर में खत्म हुई थी। तो इस स्टडी, ये हमारी स्टडी महाराष्ट्र में की गई थी, एंड हमारा फोकस एक्चुअली स्टेट फोकस नहीं था, हमारा फोकस ये था कि जो हमारे जे एक्ट में जो लॉज हैं बच्चों को अडॉप्शन पूल में लाने पे, वो ग्राउंड पे कितने अच्छे तरीके से इम्प्लीमेंट किए जा रहे हैं कि नहीं किए जा रहे, और गैप्स क्या हैं। So we looked at the processes in India on the ground, so that because the laws are common across country, so what are the implementation issues on the ground which is preventing these kids from coming to shelters into the legal adoption pool. तो we identified about 20 issues, 20 issues हमने identify किए, उसमें से मैं मोटी-मोटे 5 issues आपको बताती हूँ। So main चीज ये, so first is कि जो बच्चे आज shelters में आते हैं, उनको एक बार जब रिव्यू करके लोकल अथॉरिटी CWC रिव्यू करके एक बार शेल्टर में भेज देते हैं, उसके बाद बच्चे की ऑनगोइंग मॉनिटरिंग नहीं होती है इस हिसाब से कि वो बच्चा शेल्टर में कंटिन्यू होना चाहिए या वो अडॉप्शन में आना चाहिए। तो आज जो बच्चे की फैमिली विजिट है वो मैन्युअली ट्रैक की जाती है। आप किसी शेल्टर में जाके पूछिए इस बच्चे से मिलने कभी कौन आया था, वो बोलेंगे मैम शायद 6 महीने पहले कोई आया था, साल पहले कोई आया था। एक रजिस्टर होगा, उस रजिस्टर में आप कभी नहीं ढूंढ पाएंगे कि उस बच्चे से कब कौन मिलने आया था, वो एक फिजिकल रजिस्टर है। बच्चे का जो गार्डियन है उसका क्या स्टेटस है, वो गार्डियन ट्रेसेबल हो सकता है, वो गार्डियन उस टाइम पे नोन हो जब बच्चा शेल्टर में आया था, लेकिन अगर बच्चे को शेल्टर में आए 6 महीने हो गए हैं तो उसके गार्डियन का अब क्या स्टेटस है, गार्डियन ट्रेसेबल भी है कि नहीं, इज द गार्डियन फिट और अनफिट, डज द गार्डियन वांट द चाइल्ड, गार्डियन को बच्चा चाहिए भी कि नहीं, ये चीजें हम रेगुलर पीरियोडिकली चेक नहीं करते हैं। और जो आज में जो एलिजिबल बच्चे हैं कि जिनको अडॉप्शन पूल में आना चाहिए, वो हमने एक तरह से वो काम हमने शेल्टर्स पे छोड़ दिया है। इंडिया में अब 2 टाइप के शेल्टर्स हैं, ये आप सबको पता होगा, एक तो नॉर्मल शेल्टर्स और एक वो शेल्टर्स जो अडॉप्शन एजेंसीज हैं। तो जो नॉर्मल शेल्टर्स हैं वो करीब 10,000 हैं, अडॉप्शन एजेंसीज करीब सिर्फ 400 हैं। तो जो अडॉप्शन एजेंसी में बच्चे पहुंचते हैं वो अडॉप्शन एजेंसी उनको इवैल्यूएट कर लेती हैं, पर जो 10,000 शेल्टर हैं गवर्नमेंट के हिसाब से वो लिंक होने चाहिए अडॉप्शन एजेंसी से, उनको बच्चों को प्रेजेंट करना चाहिए। सेक्शन 66 ऑफ द JJ Act today says that shelters should identify children who are abandoned and orphaned and proactively bring work with the CWC to declare them legally free for adoption, but वो नहीं होता है। तो बच्चे एलिजिबल बच्चे ऑटो फ्लैग नहीं होते हैं। और जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स हैं अगर वो कुछ करना भी चाहें तो अगर आपके पास आपके अगर शहर में आपकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में 40 शेल्टर हैं, उसमें 3,000 बच्चे हैं, आप कैसे आप जानेंगे कि कौन से बच्चे का क्या स्टेटस है? तो कोई रियल टाइम डैशबोर्ड्स नहीं है। हमने जब ये स्टडी की तो उस स्टडी पे हमारा जो काफी फोकस था वो टेक्नोलॉजी पे था कि कैन टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प ईज सम ऑफ दिस प्रेशर, कैन टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प, टेक्नोलॉजी से कुछ फर्क पड़ सकता है कि नहीं। तो हमने उसमें कुछ चीजें तो उसमें हमने रियलाइज किया कि एक अगर हम टेक्नोलॉजी आज हिंदुस्तान में हर टाइप की चीज में यूज करते हैं, पर उसको बहुत एक्टिवली चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन में नहीं यूज किया जाता। तो अगर हम हर एक बच्चे का, हर एक इंडिविजुअल बच्चे का स्टेटस कॉन्टिन्यूसली चेक करें और वो स्टेटस चेक ऑटोमेटिकली उस बच्चे को फ्लैग करे, ट्रिगर करे कि इस बच्चे को देखिए, इस बच्चे को अडॉप्शन में जाना चाहिए, उस हिसाब से हम लाखों बच्चों को ट्रैक कर सकते हैं, लाखों बच्चों को अडॉप्शन पूल में ला सकते हैं। तो उसके लिए क्या चाहिए? वन इज कि आप ऑटोमेटेड ट्रैकिंग करें फैमिली कॉन्टैक्ट की। बच्चा शेल्टर में है, कौन मिलने आ रहा है, कब आया है, 6 महीने पहले आया है, साल पहले आया है, कोई मिलने भी आता है या नहीं, लीगल गार्डियन स्टेटस, कल उस बच्चे का लीगल गार्डियन था, आज है कि नहीं। हमने ऐसे केसेस देखे हैं जिसमें कि बच्चे की माता का देहांत हो गया है, बच्चे का फादर है एंड द फादर ब्रिंग्स द चाइल्ड टू द शेल्टर, कुछ टाइम में फादर का देहांत हो गया, बच्चा शेल्टर में ही रह जा रहा है, वो बच्चा अब ऑर्फेंड है, उसको अडॉप्शन पूल में आना चाहिए। तो हमको ये सब ट्रैकिंग करनी है बच्चे के गार्डियन स्टेटस की, विजिट्स की, इन टाइप की चीजों, ताकि बच्चे ऑटो फ्लैग हो सकें। वी नीड टू track certain child indicators and auto flag the children who should come into the legal adoption pool. Now, the local CWC, the local authorities, they will make the final decision on whether the child is eligible for adoption. But they should be provided real-time insights into the status of every single child so they can take the next decision. ओके तो मैं आपको एक सैंपल केस से वॉक थ्रू करती हूँ। अब जैसे आप ये मानिए कि एक बच्चा है जिसको कि चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन मैकेनिज्म में वो बच्चा आया है, ठीक है, वो किसी रिश्तेदार या किसी अपने पेरेंट के थ्रू वो लाया गया है जहाँ फैमिली उसकी टेक केयर नहीं कर सकती है। बच्चे के ऊपर इंक्वायरी होती है, बच्चे को इंस्टीट्यूशन में भेजा जाता है, बात खत्म। उसके बाद उस बच्चे से कोई मिलने नहीं आता, उस बच्चे का जो उसका पेरेंट या रिलेटिव है उसको बच्चे को रखना चाहता है कि नहीं, इस चीज पे उसके बाद कोई सवाल नहीं उठता। इनिशियली बच्चे इंस्टीट्यूशन में चला गया और वहां पे चीज रुक जाती है। लेकिन अगर इसी में अगर हम ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी इंट्रोड्यूस करें कि बच्चे को इंस्टीट्यूशन में डाला गया है लेकिन अगर उसे कोई विजिट नहीं कर रहा, वो चीज फ्लैग हो रही है, ये ऑटोमेटेड चेक हो रहा है कि बच्चे को कोई विजिट कर रहा है कि नहीं, और अगर नहीं कर रहा है तो उस बच्चे को फ्लैग किया जाता है लोकल CWC के पास और उसकी फिर अडॉप्शन इंक्वायरी इनिशिएट की जाती है। अब उस अडॉप्शन इंक्वायरी में सोशल इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगी, फिर से चेक किया जाएगा कि बच्चे को फैमिली घर वापस ले जाना चाहती है या नहीं, फैमिली ट्रेसेबल भी है या नहीं, और अगर फैमिली ट्रेसेबल नहीं है या बच्चा नहीं चाहती है तो बच्चा लीगल अडॉप्शन पूल में आ सकता है। फैमिली बच्चा चाहती है तो बच्चे को शेल्टर में रहना पड़ेगा। दैट इज सो इन इंडिया वी हैव टू इफ वी हैव assistive technology to help determine the next step for every child, then the technology can determine if, let's say, on a lack of visits, whether the child needs an investigation, that the child needs to be brought into the legal adoption pool, or at least a check with it is initiated with the family of whether they want to continue keeping the child or not. Okay. So how do we visualize this? So the way we have visualized the technology is कि we will use certain child indicators. So बच्चे का बहुत सारा data होता है. There's a lot of child data. Now there's specific data points that can be utilized to determine whether a child should be flagged for an adoption inquiry. And these children, their list can then be provided to the local child welfare committees and the local WCD officials. तो जैसे आप लेफ्ट में देखेंगे जो सो देयर आर फ्यू चाइल्ड इंडिकेटर्स जो वहाँ मैंने जैसे लिखे हैं कि बच्चे का गार्डियन है या नहीं, फिट है या अनफिट, फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ कांटेक्ट क्या है, बच्चे की और कोई केस हिस्ट्री में कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन। सो ये सारे चाइल्ड इंडिकेटर्स लेके एक रूल बेस्ड एल्गोरिथम से हम ये डिटरमिन कर सकते हैं कि कौन कौन से बच्चे हैं जिनको एटलीस्ट फिर से देखा जाना चाहिए और क्लियर रीजन प्रोवाइड करने चाहिए। सो टेक्नोलॉजी सिर्फ ये नहीं कह सकती कि इस शेल्टर में 100 बच्चे हैं, इसमें से ये 20 बच्चे अडॉप्शन में आने चाहिए, वो साथ साथ में एक रीजन भी देना पड़ेगा कि क्यों इन बच्चों को फ्लैग किया गया है, कौन सा उनका डेटा है जो इंडिकेट कर रहा है कि इस बच्चे को अडॉप्शन में जाना चाहिए। तो शॉर्ट टर्म ये एक बहुत बेसिक टेक्नोलॉजी रूल बेस्ड इंजन से हो सकता है, लॉन्ग टर्म आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और अदर टाइप ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजीज कैन आल्सो बी यूज्ड, बट द आइडिया इज कि दिस इज द डायरेक्शन वी नीड टू बी मूविंग इन। ओके, सो हमारी टीम ने एक टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोटोटाइप डेवलप किया है। सो आई विल क्विकली गो थ्रू अ फ्यू स्लाइड्स ऑफ दिस। तो यहाँ पे आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स के नाम देखेंगे, ये तेलंगाना की डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं और ये डेटा मॉक डेटा है। सो दिस इज नॉट रियल डेटा, दिस इज मॉक डेटा दैट रिफ्लेक्ट्स द रियलिटी ऑन द ग्राउंड। तो अगर आप इस डेटा में देखें तो फर्स्ट फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये टेबल आपको दिखा रहा है कि बच्चों की कैटेगरी क्या है उनके गार्डियन के हिसाब से। ओके, आई थिंक कोई अपने स्क्रीन पे लिख रहा है जिससे कि स्लाइड पे आ रहा है, तो आपको अवॉइड करना पड़ेगा। अब जैसे कि आप इसमें देखेंगे, जैसे कुछ कैटेगरीज हैं, अबैंडन्ड चिल्ड्रन, ऑर्फन विद नो गार्डियन, सरेंडर्ड चिल्ड्रन, ये क्लियर बच्चे हैं जो अडॉप्शन इंक्वायरी जिन पे होनी चाहिए। लेकिन जैसे बच्चे हैं ऑर्फन विद अनफिट गार्डियंस, नाउ जेजे एक्ट के हिसाब से जो बच्चा ऑर्फन्ड है, हु डजंट हैव एनीबडी टू केयर फॉर, अडॉप्शन में आना चाहिए। लेकिन काफी शेल्टर्स हैं वो जो बच्चों को रखते हैं, उनको नहीं लाते हैं। तो ये ट्रैक करेगा कि ठीक है, जो ऑर्फन बच्चा है उसके कितने बच्चे हैं जिनके अनफिट गार्डियंस हैं, वो बच्चे लीगल अडॉप्शन में आने चाहिए। एंड देन इट विल आल्सो ट्रैक चिल्ड्रन हु हैव फिट और अनफिट पेरेंट्स। सो इस टाइप की इंफॉर्मेशन सिर्फ अडॉप्शन के लिए जरूरी नहीं है। अगर आप बच्चे की फैमिली रीयूनिफिकेशन करना चाहते हैं, फैमिली के पास वापस भेजना चाहते हैं, फॉस्टर केयर में भेजना चाहते हैं, ये इंफॉर्मेशन आपको किसी भी केस में चाहिए। तो सेम, तो अगर मैं वही तेलंगाना की 5 डिस्ट्रिक्ट लूं, सो वन इज ट्रैकिंग कि बच्चे के गार्डियन का क्या स्टेटस है। सेकंड थिंग वी आर ट्रैकिंग इज कि बच्चे का व्हाट्स द चाइल्ड्स लास्ट कांटेक्ट विद फैमिली। तो ये बच्चा फैमिली के उसमें कि बच्चे का कोई फैमिली कांटेक्ट नहीं है, पास्ट 6 महीने में कोई कांटेक्ट हुआ है कि नहीं, साल में हुआ है, 2 साल में हुआ है। एंड देन बेस्ड ऑन दीज टू, कि बच्चे के गार्डियन का क्या स्टेटस है और उसकी फैमिली का कांटेक्ट हुआ है कि नहीं, द चाइल्ड गेट्स फ्लैग्ड फॉर एन अडॉप्शन इंक्वायरी। सो वो चीज है, वो टेक्नोलॉजी करती है। तो डेटा एंट्री ये है, गार्डियन की इंफॉर्मेशन एंड बच्चे की विजिट इंफॉर्मेशन, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट आवर एल्गोरिथम कंप्यूट्स कि कौन से ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो अडॉप्शन के लिए ट्रैक होने चाहिए। तो अब जैसे इसमें 5 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स के बच्चे दिखाए गए हैं तेलंगाना में, अगर इसमें मैं किसी एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट पे क्लिक करती हूँ, फिर मुझे ये डेटा मिलेगा। Shikhar, I don't know this. Is there any way to erase these scribbles from the screen? Yeah. ठीक है, अगर if it's not bothering, I'll let them be.
Or do you want to restart sharing? Sorry.
अच्छा, उससे ठीक हो जाएगा क्या? Okay, let me try that.
I'm not that technical like you. Yeah.
You were perfectly right, Shikhar.
तीर मारा था बस।
ठीक है, निशाने पे लग गया। तो अब जैसे हमने for Telangana we saw 5 districts with the mock data where the system indicated these are the children who should be looked at the adoption inquiry in the shelters in these districts. तो उसमें when you zoom in, जब आप उस पे हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट पे क्लिक करके आप आगे ये देख सकते हैं इस डैशबोर्ड में कि क्यों उस बच्चे को फ्लैग किया गया है। जैसे कि इन सब बच्चों के केस में कोई फैमिली विजिट नहीं है, इस वजह से इन बच्चों को फ्लैग किया गया है। लेकिन इसमें यह भी बताया गया है कि उनका गार्डियन का क्या स्टेटस है। एक बच्चे के केस में अनफिट गार्डियन है चाइल्ड अब्यूज की वजह से, एक केस में अनफिट पेरेंट है बिकॉज देयर इज अनविलिंगनेस टू रेज द चाइल्ड। इस केस में पेरेंट को काउंसल किया जाना चाहिए कि आप बच्चे को सरेंडर कीजिए। फिर सिमिलरली सो हर चीज में बच्चा जो कि अडॉप्शन इंक्वायरी में जाना चाहिए, पहले वो फ्लैग होगा, रीजन दिया जाएगा ताकि local authorities can make a call. Now, when detailed information about every child's status is provided like this, local authorities can make a decision. It is their choice. They may look at a case and say, no, this child should not go into adoption. This child should continue to stay at a shelter. That's the decision the CWC makes. But at least they should be provided information about the children who need to be looked at. And this assessment of children needs to be continuous. So for the sake of time, मैं थोड़ा जल्दी बात करती हूँ. I'll go a little faster. So anybody who's here today who's interested in to go through this prototype, please email us at team@wic.in. We can share the login details with you. तो आज जो भी इस कॉल पे हैं उनमें से जो लोग भी इस प्रोटोटाइप को एक्सेस करना चाहते हैं, प्लीज हमें team@wic.in पे ईमेल कीजिए, हम आपको लॉगिन डिटेल्स भेज सकते हैं. So this is the prototype. So what's next, right? What do we do to deploy technology like that in any specific state or in a district? Well, we need a collaboration in the ecosystem. पूरे ecosystem का हमें यहाँ collaboration चाहिए. सबसे बड़ा stakeholder है WCD department. बिहार में that would be the social welfare department. तो जैसे जो बिहार का social welfare department है या किसी भी state का social welfare या WCD department है, उनका agreement चाहिए होगा, क्योंकि ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी है ये शेल्टर्स में बच्चों के साथ नहीं यूज की जा सकती जब तक कि WCD या सोशल वेलफेयर का एग्रीमेंट नहीं होगा. दूसरे, गवर्नमेंट के जो भी IT पार्टनर्स हैं, ज्यादातर स्टेट्स के खुद के IT सेल्स होते हैं, तो अगर वो ऑलरेडी कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर रहे हैं बच्चों के लिए तो ये टेक्नोलॉजी उसके साथ इंटीग्रेट की जानी चाहिए। देन ऑफ कोर्स हमारा रोल है इस टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन एंड टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोवाइड करने का। और जो बाकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस काम कर रही हैं, राइट, चाइल्ड राइट्स में बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस डिफरेंट स्टेट्स और डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में काम कर रही हैं, उनमें से जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इसमें पार्टनर करना चाहती है, हमारे साथ काम करना चाहती है, वी आर ओपन टू दिस। एंड आई जस्ट वांटेड टू शेयर कि अभी मोस्ट रिसेंटली हमें महाराष्ट्र में गवर्नमेंट से अप्रूवल मिला है 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ये टेक्नोलॉजी ट्राई करने का। तो सो विल बी ट्राइंग दिस टेक्नोलॉजी इन महाराष्ट्र इन 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट थ्रू गवर्नमेंट अप्रूवल। एंड महाराष्ट्र की एक तीसरी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में हम एक प्राइवेट NGO के साथ ये टेक्नोलॉजी ट्राई कर रहे हैं, जो कि NGO चाइल्ड शेल्टर्स के साथ काम करते हैं। सो हम इसका ग्राउंड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन अभी करने वाले हैं और होपफुली वी कैन मूव अहेड इन महाराष्ट्र एंड वी वांट टू मूव अहेड इन अदर स्टेट्स आल्सो। ये ऐसी चीज नहीं है जो सिर्फ एक जगह पे करी जानी चाहिए, ये सब स्टेट्स के लिए है, स्पेशली जो स्टेट्स ऑलरेडी टेक्नोलॉजी देख रही हैं चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन में, हम उनसे डेफिनेटली बात करना चाहते हैं, उनके साथ ये आगे ले जाना चाहते हैं। ओके, सो मैंने अब तक टेक्नोलॉजी की काफी बात की है, दैट्स द फोकस ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, लेकिन मैं एक बात कहना चाहूंगी पॉलिसी और लेजिस्लेशन के बारे में भी। सो आवर लॉज आर वेरी वेल फॉर्म्ड, वेरी वेल डिफाइंड, but also at the same time I think there are some changes, some mindset changes we need, and they could be policy changes, process changes, mindset changes, but besides technology there are a few things we need. So जो चीजें हमें beyond technology चाहिए, जैसे कि सबसे पहले आई थिंक हमारे देश में ये मान लिया गया है कि शेल्टर अच्छी चीज है, और वो अच्छी चीज है उन बच्चों के लिए जिनके पेरेंट्स ना तो उनको पाल सकते हैं, अच्छे से पाल सकते हैं, ना उनको सरेंडर करना चाहते हैं। तो शेल्टर्स एक बहुत जरूरी रोल अदा करते हैं, लेकिन वो रोल अब वक्त के साथ बदलना चाहिए। शेल्टर्स को ट्रांजिशन सेंटर्स बनना चाहिए रेदर देन परमानेंट होम्स। तो शेल्टर्स का ये चार्टर होना चाहिए कि आपके पास जब कोई बच्चा आता है तो आप ये कोशिश कीजिए कि उस बच्चे को परमानेंट फैमिली तक कैसे पहुंचाया जाए। अगर वो बच्चा परमानेंट फैमिली तक नहीं पहुंच सकता, भले बायोलॉजिकल फैमिली हो, भले थ्रू अडॉप्शन हो, भले फॉस्टर के कुछ और की चीज हो, तो वो बच्चा शेल्टर में कंटिन्यू कर सकता है और शेल्टर की क्वालिटी अच्छी होनी चाहिए, लेकिन परमानेंट होम टाइप स्टेटस शेल्टर्स का नहीं हो सकता। सेकंड, जो आज की इंसेंटिवाइजेशन है वो ये है कि बच्चे को शेल्टर में रखा जाए। जब कोविड के टाइम पे आपने देखा होगा कि हर तरफ जब न्यूज आ रही थी कोविड के बच्चों की, गवर्नमेंट आफ्टर गवर्नमेंट, किसी एक स्टेट की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, गवर्नमेंट आफ्टर गवर्नमेंट बार लोग बोल रहे थे जिन बच्चों के माता पिता का देहांत हो गया, या तो हम उनको रिश्तेदार के साथ रखेंगे, और जिनके रिश्तेदार तैयार नहीं है हम उनको चिल्ड्रन होम में रखेंगे और हम उसके लिए पैसा देंगे। और वो सुन के हम लोगों को इतनी चिंता होती थी, क्यों आप क्या कह रहे हैं, क्यों उस बच्चे को आप चिल्ड्रन होम में रखेंगे? जब बच्चा अनाथ है, रिश्तेदार रखना नहीं चाहते, आप उस बच्चे को अडॉप्शन पूल में डालिए। जेजे एक्ट भी वही बोलता है। तो आई थिंक एक सेंसिटाइजेशन की जरूरत है अक्रॉस ऑल द स्टेक होल्डर्स, कि जो इंसेंटिवाइजेशन है और जो आज शेल्टर्स की मॉनिटरिंग है, जो मॉनिटरिंग में होती है वो इस बेसिस पे होती है कि बच्चों को अच्छे से रखा जा रहा है कि नहीं, वो सब चीजें आज एक्सपैंड होनी चाहिए। इंसेंटिवाइजेशन और मॉनिटरिंग में ये भी इंक्लूड होना चाहिए कि वो शेल्टर बच्चे को नॉन इंस्टीट्यूशनल केयर में डालने के लिए कितनी मेहनत कर रहा है। आज आप जिस शेल्टर को ग्रांट दे रहे हैं, पिछले 1 साल में उस शेल्टर ने एक भी बच्चा अडॉप्शन में डाला है? आज जिस शेल्टर को जिसके आप चेक करने जा रही है, CWC, DCPU, लोकल अथॉरिटीज चेक करने जा रही हैं, ये भी चेक करती हैं कि उस शेल्टर में से कितने बच्चे फैमिली के साथ रीयूनाइट हुए हैं पिछले साल में। सो ये चीजें हमें वापस फोकस में लानी है। देन एक ऑल्टरनेट केयर प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर भी चाहिए। मैं काफी बार लोगों से सुनती हूँ, लोग बोलते हैं अडॉप्शन कर सकते हैं या फॉस्टर केयर कर सकते हैं, और ये ईदर और नहीं है। अगर पहले कोशिश यही करनी चाहिए कि बच्चा परमानेंट फैमिली के पास आए, अडॉप्शन के थ्रू जाए। अगर अडॉप्शन में नहीं डाला जा सकता, तब वो बच्चा फॉस्टर केयर में प्लेस किया जा सकता है। सो एक सिस्टम है कि एक प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर है कि पहले बायोलॉजिकल फैमिली, वहां पॉसिबल नहीं है तो अडॉप्टिव फैमिली, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है तो मे बी फॉस्टर केयर, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है तो shelter. So there has to be this priority order of very different types of alternate care issues. And lastly, आज के जमाने में आज हम अपने लॉज में हम ये डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर रहे हैं कि जो बच्चा शेल्टर में छोड़ा गया है उसकी गार्डियन एंगेजमेंट कितनी है। तो कोई गाइडलाइंस नहीं है अबैंडनमेंट वर्सेस एंगेजमेंट की। तो अगर कोई भी आज रिश्तेदार या माता पिता बच्चे को छोड़ जाता है और कभी भी वापस नहीं आता, जस्ट बिकॉज पेपर पे उनका नाम है, उस वजह से बच्चा हमेशा शेल्टर में रहेगा। तो हमें कुछ डिफाइन करने की जरूरत है कि ग्रेजुअल अबैंडनमेंट या डिजर्टिंग अ चाइल्ड, इवन इफ यू लीव दैट चाइल्ड इन अ शेल्टर, व्हाट डज दैट लुक लाइक? So all of these, things need to be thought through. So hopefully we do all this, we deploy the right technology, we think about policy, and within the next 2 years, we can ensure that every eligible child, every abandoned and orphan child in a shelter enters the legal adoption pool, has the chance to reach a family, and in the future, we can do this early. We can do this early, we can do it consistently, so kids don't have to live in institutions for no reason. So thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Smriti. That was a kind of bullet train concept of adoption, and I'm glad. I think you have adapted the word of the adoption to to cover such a massive ocean subject in less than 15 minutes. So well done once again. Actually, this also reminds it's not only the transparency, it also brings the accountability and also the responsibility of various stakeholders, especially the government, when we are able to link these child protection systems with the technology. And having worked for more than 15 years in the UK and worked in more than 10 different databases, on a polite note, they used to do our headings because too much paperwork, but equally the kind of accountability that brings, I'm sure Devi would agree with me, that how the effective child protection systems, which became more responsive, more accountable since the invent of the technology, and made social workers, the managers and the councils to be accountable, especially when there is a big boss like courts, which feels everything, how it is done, why it is done, why it is not done, and what can be done, etc., all WHO questions. So we are pleased. It has been a passion, or rather a dream, I must say personally, coming from the background, Smriti. And we really congratulate and again, once again, salute your work. Just started, but I think it would have a ripple effect, and it would really be a sea change or a major contributing factor in meeting the children's best interest. And I don't know, David, do you want to say a kind of few words on this technology, especially because I wasn't even expecting myself, and it is a bit of surprisingly pleasing development. And then we can go on to the other speakers quickly.
Yeah, the integrated computer system in the UK, like you were saying, Shekhar, sounds like, Smriti, you're really trying to develop that and get children into family homes as opposed to institutions. So yeah, that's really inspirational. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks, Javi. So before we say thanks to all participants and the resource persons and for their very informative sessions, may I quickly ask Vijay sir to give concluding remarks. Vijay sir, please.
No, thanks, Shekhar. It was really a wonderful session. And in fact, the whole issue of alternate care and adoption, I mean, alternate care includes all, and it was beautifully summed up that all the different models that are there, that has to be put in place. So I mean, it was really wonderful learning. And I suppose the state government would consider all this. In fact, Parvaris is already there, and Parvaris has been revised a bit. And Government of India has also come out with a very comprehensive program for the education of the children, and which Lataji beautifully mentioned. In fact, he has summed up the entire thing. It was a wonderful session. I congratulate all of them for this brilliant session, and the Smriti's this technological intervention that needs to be extended to the missing children as well. There is no linkage. I mean, we wanted a missing children technology to monitor missing children throughout the country. That has somehow not happened. I don't know whether it has happened. They may update me. I left the department 13 years ago, so I'm slightly out of with this. In fact, we have put in place in Bihar protocol for all this. In fact, at that point of time it was being done, there was a program called Astitva, which normally is not included in this. It started with trafficking, but the focus was integrated. Later on, ICPS came, and ICPS has now developed a lot, and the entire program has come up. So it's a wonderful session today, and I congratulate you as well, that you have coordinated and brought really gem to the webinar today. Thanks a lot to all of you, and I hope that we'll continue this kind of dialogue in future also. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to Vikas. Vikas has been really coordinating all this. So
Yeah.
thanks to him as well.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Madhavi ma'am actually mentioned that the technology is linked to find out the missing children as well. So there have been, and I heard from one of my lone friend who worked in Kosi disaster that she also said that there were some actions
Kosi, we started this, and after the Kosi, we wanted to have this, but I'm happy that this has been done.
Yeah. Just before I forget that we have put a chart form link in the chat box. If you would like to have a certificate and also put the email ID and the phone number. In case if you have any questions after this session, please feel free to get in touch on that email ID, and we shall be forwarding that to resource persons for any questions to be answered. It's beyond this session. If you all of a sudden think, oh gosh, I wish I would have asked that question, and or maybe we are not able to answer all the questions while we are already running late in terms of our schedule. Are there any pertinent questions? If anybody would like to ask, please go ahead. And as I said, if you don't ask, or if you think of asking later on, no need to worry. There are numbers and email, including the link for certificate if you would like to be issued with a certificate post webinar. Yes, please. Would you like to type your question in the chat box? Or are there any questions while we just checking? Aradhya, Shritika, are there any questions you guys have seen which I haven't managed to see? These are our beautiful interns being provided by University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, and they are working in the background of the webinar, and they have been given some individual tasks. Aradhya, are you there? Is Shritika there?
That name, no one is
Yeah,
there.
Vedakshi?
Vedakshi is there.
So I don't see.
Yes, sir. There is no questions as of now.
Okay.
So there's one question. Are you taking any initiatives by Mr. Kabir Faizul?
Yeah, and about child trafficking from Bangladesh to India.
Yes, sir.
Anybody has understanding? Madhavi ma'am, any, I don't know, probably this could be more experience toward West Bengal state. I'm not much aware of this issue because I'm somewhat experienced. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, Shekhar, we have a Prasvela organization which is working, Dr. Sunita Krishnan is working on trafficking.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of complaints on, conducted a lot of raids through her NGOs along with the police on red light area of Mumbai and also Calcutta, all these areas.
Okay.
And rescued all the children and the women who were trafficked.
Yeah.
Mostly they are from AP. Tribal Tandas, majority of them.
Yeah.
So they were the migrant workers in search of alternative livelihoods. So they were into the loop of this trafficking, and then they were lured by many of the opportunities. So that's how they entered into the commercial sex work.
Yeah.
And they were rescued. Lot of raids were conducted by this Prajwala team, and they were again kept in the shelter homes of Prajwala.
Yeah.
In Hyderabad. That is in Rangareddy district. They have the organization's shelter home.
Yeah.
And again, they see that there will be given some technical training or vocational skills, and then again repatriated to the back to the families and communities. If they're not willing to go back to the families on their own, how best they can take up their own livelihood, that training and skill-based low income generation programs and financial assistance is given by the government. And then that's how the activities are running on. There are NGOs which are working on, and HELP is another NGO which is working in AP, Andhra Pradesh. HELP is another NGO which is very commendable work they are doing on this rescue and rehabilitation of commercial sex workers.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I think Kabir's main question is, as we used to have the Nepal-India trafficking, child trafficking especially, I think he's also particularly asking about what the trafficking element between Bangladesh and India, because Kabir is used to work in Kosi disaster in India, and now he's based at Bangladesh, also travels to Europe and supports World Bank on disability issues as well. So Kabir, if there's any particular organization, because I know one or two who exclusively work between India-Nepal border, but in case if we come across, I'll inquire around and then shall get back to you if anybody working exclusively between India and Bangladesh border. Because there are various other checkpoints as well. Like in Nepal, we have multiple entry points. So I think it's the same situation with the Bangladesh as well. Okay. Just Smriti, one question for you as a last one, if you don't mind, please, that how can we improve adoptions in villages? Do you have some ideas?
So when you mean in villages, you mean people in villages wanting to adopt, or children who are vulnerable in rural areas coming into the legal adoption process?
That's I think, it's, I read out, it says, how can we improve adoptions in villages? Please give some ideas. And that's what the question is. But I think, hello, somebody's waiting.
Clear.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. Let me just assume what the question is. Sorry, guys, my kids are getting restless now. It's their bedtime.
We would love to see them.
So this is my younger one. So to answer the question about village. So okay, so I'll interpret the question as how can we perhaps have more kids who are vulnerable in vulnerable families and villages be more connected to the adoption ecosystem. I think the very first thing is awareness. One of the CEOs of another NGO who works in this space once told me that what they were seeing happening in rural areas was that, let's say the parents passed away, and the relatives would, at the time would take in the child, but soon find that they are either unable or unwilling to care for the child, at which point they'll leave the child in a shelter. And the child will grow up in a shelter. So I think one is to create awareness that if you're unable to raise a child, or if you're unwilling to raise a child, there is the option of safely surrendering the child at an adoption agency. I think just that awareness of that information in India is so low. We hear so many cases of abandonment. We hear so many stories of, infanticide and things like that. And a lot of it is avoidable if there's just public knowledge that you can go to a specialized adoption agency, or you can go to a child welfare committee, and you can anonymously, legally, safely surrender a child. So I think that information, going across India is very, very critical. And then second, just, people understanding just the whole idea of adoption, a lot of times there's a lot of perhaps shame associated with it, especially on the biological family side, that, oh, I'm not able to raise this child in my extended family. But I think that has to change a little bit, and to say, no, you are thinking what is best for the child. So if you can't support a child, or if you're not willing to support a child, let's say a child has been orphaned and the relatives don't want to support a child. So instead of keeping the child in a neglectful situation, perhaps surrendering the child would be a better option. So I think that there's a lot on the awareness side that needs to be done. So that's my interpretation of the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Smriti. So I would take the opportunity once again to thank you, resource person. Devi has to kind of patiently, I think he might have a lecture to actually teach, because it's still kind of 4:30 in the UK. So yeah, sincere thanks to especially the resource persons, Devi, Smriti, and Madhavi ma'am, and Vijay sir, once again for giving your insights. And I think Dr. Bikasji has left because he had some other commitments which he had informed me earlier, for bringing this together, because if without him and Ajitji, probably I don't think this would have been materialized. Certainly as a GoRed, we would like to, and we already started trying to identify the families or the children where we can reach in whatever way we could, including strengthening the current child protection systems if possible. We haven't approached the Department of Social Welfare yet, but that is what we are thinking to do that. And I'm sure when that time arrives, we will be seeking the support from different professionals who help to put this webinar, especially Bihar Vidyapeeth or Vijay sir will be contacting you. So once again, thank for more than 50 participants patiently still on webinar, even if we are almost 30 plus minutes late in concluding this. Have a very good evening, very good afternoon, wherever you are. And please drop an email or message on WhatsApp or fill that chat forms, and we would be privileged to send the certificate if you need. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Petra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shekhar.
Thank you, Smriti. Thank you, ma'am.